Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Annie Kantor, whose business is Modern Metal. And my understanding is that your business came out of your love of entertaining, which I love. So welcome. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Deborah. It's so nice to be here. I have to say, I'm super excited about being invited to your podcast because ever since I've had a home, I have loved entertaining, and entertaining has been such a big part of my family and gathering the community together. And I associate that with, people just gathering in the kitchen and talking and spending a lot of time together. So it's with that sort of value and with those occasions in mind that I redesigned my house. And out of that sprung my business.
What were the main factors that were important in creating this
Well,
ideal entertaining house?
that's a good question. I wanted my house to be a place of warmth and community and comfort. And so I kind of feel like the way that design and entertaining intersect is really by paying attention to those details, those personal details, and adding personal, meaningful elements to your house, your meals, and everything. So it's sort of with that kind of philosophy that I approached designing my home. And I didn't design my whole home, I just contributed. I actually decided to create flow in my space so that people could walk around easily. And I don't really have doors on the whole main floor of our house because I didn't want everybody to be private. I wanted to encourage socialization. And we have a big kitchen, and we designed that in a way so that people could really gather in the kitchen because everybody ends up in the kitchen anyway for occasions. So I thought, why not? And so flow of rooms and situations, that was a factor. But also, one of the first things I bought when we started our remodel was a antique table, a very long 10-foot table. And that was it. I bought it online when online was just sort of starting. This is several years ago. And it's a table from the 17th century and from Normandy. And I had it shipped over here, and I love it because it sort of embodies everything I want when I think of entertaining and a design element, because it's where people gather. We spend hours and hours, family, friends, and it's right in the middle of the kitchen. So
Okay, so if you can remove doors from the first floor of your home, great. I think the identifiable element is the big kitchen table.
big kitchen table, and also just, I think for entertaining, how do you make a house entertainable? It's any element that is meaningful to you, that makes you feel special, that makes the people that are coming over feel warmth. um, for example, when I just hosted Thanksgiving, I asked all the family members who were coming from different places, what's your favorite recipe for Thanksgiving? What do you want to feel comfortable and at home? So it doesn't have to be something that you design. It can be something how you make somebody feel, just having a recipe that gives them comfort. Maybe it's also beautiful napkins too that tell a story or a memory from a trip. Um, different different little details like that, I think, make a difference.
What are some other things people can do to make their home feel warm when welcoming guests, whether they're old friends or new ones?
I think it's all about the emotion that you're putting out there. I believe that a home should be used and accessible, not just a showroom. So, for example, I chose surfaces in my home that could be used. The wood table, we don't care if there are rings on it. We want it used. We want people. I use cloth napkins for every meal, and I just wash them, and I don't care. Nothing's fussy. Nothing's particular. So I want people when they come to my house to feel comfortable and at home, and that they're not gonna ruin anything or be worried. Just we bought a bunch of IKEA, like 10 years ago. We bought maybe 80 IKEA wine glasses, and it's been great because we don't pull out the paper or the plastic whenever we have a party. We use these IKEA wine glasses, and it's great because something breaks, we don't worry.
Where did this love of entertaining come from?
I think it's how I grew up. My mother and my grandmother both always had a house with revolving doors, lots of guests, lots of friends. Everybody was always welcome. There was almost always a stranger at our table for uh, holidays and family celebrations. And I think that's where I got it from.
Was it like the Jewish thing or was it just the community thing?
I think it was really both. We had my grandmother lived in Palo Alto, and she always had a random Stanford student come. It was anybody that was around. We had some of her crazy artist friends join us at the table, and um, a wide variety of people. We had exchange students. We had, of course, anybody in our temple community who didn't have a place to go. So it was just always a welcoming house, inclusive.
And it sounds to me like the art thing was also hereditary.
I think it was. I think it was. My grandmother became an artist at age 52 and quite a successful artist. And she was a painter and very responsible. She's a big part of the reason I ended up going into design.
What is this modern metal which you are branded as?
Well, modern metal came about because I was remodeling our house to make it a very warm and entertainable space, and I was obsessing on the details. And so, along with tile and switch plate covers and light fixtures, I saw a vent, a, a duct in my entryway. And I thought I should have something really beautiful here. And I scoured antique markets for some beautiful old brass vent covering. I couldn't find anything the right size. So something made me decide to translate. I'm a textile designer by training. I translated an old textile design into metal, and I had a vent cover made in that design. And my architect saw it and he said, "Hey, this is really cool. You could sell these." And 10 years later, here I am doing just that. So modern metal sells vent covers and screen dividers and fencing and gates and building facades. You can see behind me all these intricate patterns out of metal that are very textile like.
It really it meshes your background for design for a need that you created and now everybody gets to benefit.
That's right. That's right. And it's all about creating warmth and personality in the home, which I feel ties into that whole theme of welcoming community, gathering community and friends. So it's about making your house feel like a warm space, um, and personal, something personal and special and long lasting. I feel is important. So that's why I am enjoying what I'm doing now, and it's why I started to do this.
Let's talk about the word personality. What sort of tips do you have for people to really lean in to their personality in these community spaces they're creating?
I think you follow your gut. It's whatever makes you happy. So even if it's like sometimes I like to, you know how fancy stores sell like pretty bars of soap. Somebody gave me a little soap the other day as a house like a gift when they came over for dinner, and I love it. It's like a little set of pink, green, different colored soap. Something that I might never buy for myself, but I love it. And I thought to myself, this is bringing meaning into your home. So I feel like my advice for people would just be to follow your instinct of what you like, not just reading the magazines and looking what's at seeing what's trendy, not going into Pottery Barn and buying whatever's on their display or generic artwork, but whatever it is, if it's a picture or anything that has meaning, I think is what will bring your personality into your home, and it's going to be completely natural.
Are there certain colors and textures that go well together, or is mixing and matching good?
Well, I'm a big fan of pattern on pattern. I think mixing pattern, color, and texture is very exciting. And in fact, the other day, my husband was getting dressed for his holiday party, and he had a plain shirt, and he wasn't going to wear a tie. And I said, "Get a pattern tie, get this loud tie." And he got the tie, and I said, "Oh, you need a striped shirt under that." He said, "Stripes? I'm not going to do that." And I made him do it, and it looked so much better. It was so festive and fun, and interjecting some personality rather than the same old, same old. So, and I don't think it always has to be so loud. It can be very subtle. Um,
I really love what you said about don't repeat a catalog. It doesn't work, right, for everything. And I think even like little touches that maybe only you know would be kind of fun to put in there as well.
That's right. It's funny that you said that because I was going to give an example of I have a wall when you walk into my foyer because again I want people to feel welcome. So it's a wall of family memories, like a lot of people have, I'm sure. But I didn't take the best photos, the frame worthy photos. What I did is I selected memories. So one of the pictures is a photo of my daughters. I have two daughters, their feet wearing these Roman sandals. And people are like, why do you have a picture of like someone's foot up there, like with Roman sandals? And they know when they see it. I know when I see it. Our whole family knows when we see it because it captured a moment on a trip to Rome, a family trip to Rome. And my girls had a massive 3-day fight over Roman sandals there. And that picture captures that fight, that memory. So it's very personal and nobody else knows about it. We do. So, like you said, it's all about having something personal that's meaningful to you and it doesn't have to be seen in other places, you know. I think that's what makes a home special and what makes different elements work is when it's meaningful.
Awesome. And great example. And you like to cook as well, right?
I do. I love to cook. I love to bake more than I love to cook, but I love to cook and we have a lot of we've had so many events and occasions to celebrate with family and friends. And one of the events, actually, one of the recipes I was going to share with you came about from a family event we have every year, a break fast for the Jewish holiday for Yom Kippur, and my friend Anne makes this noodle kugel every year, and Anne is actually Italian, and she actually comes from a line of famous Italian, uh, the D'Agostino family in New York. And so she has this recipe for noodle kugel, and she's an amazing cook, and she makes it year after year, and everybody has grown to love it. And so that's what I was going to share with you.
Wonderful. So if you go to jewishjournal.com/podcast, you will read the article with some of these tips, but also get this amazing kugel recipe. What is it about this particular kugel? See, I feel like I'm doing a different holiday now. What makes this kugel different from all others? What makes it so special?
I think it's very dense and rich, and it's the topping on top of it. And the funny part is when you see the recipe, of course, like any really good cook, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it can vary every time. So the best part of when we finally nailed her down to write the recipe down for us, she said, and add a little nutmeg, depending on the crowd. So what kind of crowd wants more nutmeg? What kind of crowd wants less? But really, what makes this kugel special is the topping.
And cooking and baking also give you an opportunity to be creative. So it's like its own art form, right?
Yes. In fact, before I started my business, my creative outlet was um, decorating elaborate birthday cakes for my children. So that was I took it. It was my outlet for creativity.
I feel like me time in the kitchen is like the best way to unwind and like etch a sketch your brain. Do you feel that too?
I do. I feel that when I do anything with my hands. So sometimes getting to that point of, actually making the cookies and using my hands or designing that pattern and getting out the paint and the sketches and the pencils, sketchbook. That's sometimes it's hard for me to get to that point to start, get out the rolling pin and actually do it. But once I'm doing it, I completely feel relaxed in a different kind of way. It's using my hands.
And as I say, the benefit is you have food.
That's right. That's right. There's output there.
Yes, exactly. Now I'm going to ask you a different question. Do you have a bagel philosophy? What is your favorite bagel and what do you like to put on it?
Ooh, I like an everything bagel with plain cream cheese.
Is this bagel toasted or fresh out of the oven?
I like it toasted, but then I have to let it cool completely before I put the cream cheese on.
Right, because then it gets all
Yeah. So that's how I'm, and then of course I like to put tons of veggies on it, like cucumbers and tomatoes and anything I can find.
Awesome. Do you have any food for thought on this connection between art and cooking and entertaining?
I would say that the intersection between design and entertaining and food is meaningful personal detail. So whatever that is, if it's for me, it's usually in the presentation of the baked goods. I buy pretty tissue paper to put them on, or doilies, or I spend probably as much time figuring out how I want to display the cookies as I do making the cookies. That's me. That's me. So that's where the intersection comes for with me, and so that's my food for thought. Is presentation is everything.
And the more personal, the better. You put in these little touches that are meaningful to you, but because of that, it's going to be received with that kind of love. Yes?
I think so. I think so. I had my kids for Thanksgiving. I didn't buy any new like table decor or anything. I just wanted them to use what we had. So I said, "Girls, you're in charge of the table. Do whatever you want. It's Thanksgiving." And so they pulled random things out of my tiny little herb garden, and they made corn husk dolls, and they pulled it all together, and it was, not only was it beautiful, but it was meaningful because it was personal. So again, it's about putting your personality into something and feeling that.
I have to ask, so how old are your daughters?
They are 23 and 26.
Which makes that example even better.
Yes. I mean, I did sort of force them to do the corn husk dolls because my dog had eaten the ones from their childhood, but they kind of rolled their eyes at me for a minute, but then they were completely immersed. They didn't want to leave.
Wonderful chatting with you, Annie Kantor. Where can people learn more about you?
Well, I have a website, modmetaldesigns.com, and they can learn about me there.
Easy peasy. Love it. Thank you so much, Annie Kantor, for joining me. Thank you for tuning in to Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and or your favorite podcast platform. And go to jewishjournal.com/podcast to get the recipes and read the articles that go with each episode. And you can learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. Your meal is about so much more than the food, whether you're entertaining for a party or just a family dinner. Have fun with it and put that personality in there. Until next time, bon appetit.